In my last video I bought a Specialized Pitch 2010 for €500. The bike needed a lot of work, particularly the front shocks, which had no working lockout or rebound adjustment. The front brakes were also completely shot, and the rear brakes I decided to change out. Despite the fact that they were still working, they weren't in the greatest shape, so I gave those a parts bin upgrade. If I didn't have those spare brakes hanging around, I probably would have went with a budget option like Shimano's MT200s for about €40. I also replaced out the front grips because they were completely destroyed. I replaced the seat of the bike because it was horrendous, and I got those quite cheaply off of Amazon. So all told, the entire bike build cost me about €700. That's also factoring in replacement brakes if you were to go with something akin to Shimano's MT200s. So in order to test the bike, I brought it out to Slade Valley in the Dublin mountains. There are some really beautiful tracks up here and I've never ridden them before, so today will be a first on my new bike and a first up at these trails.
So far the bike feels good. The front forks are locking out nicely. The rear shock has no lockout, so I'm bouncing up and down and using quite a lot of energy. I'm used to a hardtail, so that's actually even worse. But so far it feels good. No weird noises or creaking. And there's Martina going ahead of me. We're at Slade Valley today. And we're up a beautiful fire. First time. It's our first time out here. We're heading up this beautiful fire road. And apparently when we get to some masts, we'll hit some trails. So I'll check back in with you then. So we're on our way up the fire road. We need rescue. No, a very nice gentleman told us when we get to this Y in the road, we're going to go to the left and up towards the masts. So, hope he wasn't lying to us.
The first track I brought it down was ROSWELL Descending. This is some very narrow single track with high gullies on either side, so it could be easy to catch your tyres. The bike performed admirably here, and prior to this cycling up the fire road, I found shifting was absolutely fine, fork lockout good, only issues were that bouncing up and down at the rear shock. So as you get to the end of ROSWELL Descending, you get to a Y. One brings you through a forest path that will bring you onto Stunt Jumper. This leads in with some more narrow gully tracks, some rough routes, and these rough routes really showed up the weakness of that rear shock. It bounced a lot and almost bucked me off at one or two sections, but fiddling with the rebound adjustment, I ended up having a good day with it after that.
I love you, Eunice. I need these awful.
Yeah. It was just like pogoing back and forth. I was like, no, please God.
We then headed down Stunt Jumper. I ended up opting out of a lot of the jumps on this because I didn't feel that comfortable on the new bike. The handlebars are narrower than what I'm used to. They're 680mm and I'd be used to 740. I did try one jump and it was successful and I didn't die, so that was good. This track mostly consists of single track with some jumps dotted out between it. It's a really fun track and I'd recommend hitting it up if you go to Slade.
Okay.
Though, word to the wise, if you go to Slade after some heavy rainfall, it can get mucky and a bit muddy, but that's all part of mountain biking, isn't it? We then hit up Battery Park. This is another fun bit of single track that leads you into the forest. There's a lot of routes here and I ended up catching my front tyre on some of them. I couldn't help but feel at that point if I was on a bike with slightly larger 27.5s, I might have rolled over some of those routes easier, but at the same time, maybe I'm blaming the bike when I should be blaming the skill of the rider. After Battery Park, we headed down Get the Advantage, or what we thought to be Get the Advantage at the time. I think this is an unnamed trail, so if anyone knows the name of this trail, drop the name in the comments below. Our last trail of the day was JHETTO Blaster, which was probably one of my favorites that I did during the time we were there. There's some really nice rooty sections, and at this point I had the rebound on the rear shock a little more dialed in, so I was enjoying them a bit more. This also was the only point during the day where my chain came off the front ring. I was a little surprised by that, as the rear derailleur has no clutch, but the narrow wide teeth on the single front chain ring did a good job of holding the chain on for the most part. It's also worth mentioning that whilst the range isn't the best on the 1x9, it's fine, it's perfectly serviceable. It got me up the fire road and I felt like I had enough power in my pedal strokes going downhill when I needed to add a little bit of speed. There's a really nice jump at the end of JHETTO Blaster with a tabletop, so if you're not that confident with jumping like myself, it's a nice one to practice on, as you're not going to case the other side and kill yourself. So all in all, I'm really happy with my bike. I'm thinking I'm going to change out the front handlebars for something a little wider. But other than that, I had a good day out on my €700 mountain bike, and I had a good day out at Slade Valley. We'll definitely be back here to do an update, a full trail video on Slade Valley, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and see you next time.